mean, normally you have lots of fans who, I mean, not everyone's always going to be happy with you. There's always going to be some people who don't like you, or don't like the way you play. But I think it means a bit more when someone you know or someone you played with for the Springboks says something. I think we as players get quite a lot of grief from fans, and now, if you can say it, one of your own also giving you some shit. I don't know if you watch Prison Break, Michael Schofield.
Yeah.
He reminds me a bit of Michael. He always has a plan, always has a good plan up his sleeve, but yeah. And that day I was just like, well, I'm angry, and Siya was in front of me, and I just wait for him. I can't remember running over him twice, he says, but sometimes he can over-exaggerate a bit.
This week on Rugby Roots, we travel to the south of France to meet up with one of the best players on the planet, South Africa's Eben Etzebeth. Eben is one of the world's most feared players, notorious for his physical playing style and menacing attitude on the pitch. Enjoy. Right, Eben, we're in Toulon. Not your hometown, but hometown for now. You're looking well. How has your time been at Toulon? I say that we were chatting before. I found it quite tough playing in France, big culture shock when I was at Montpellier. We're seeing a lot of you guys, South African guys, coming over to Europe and doing really, really well. You being one of the biggest names, how have you found the change in kind of culture and pace of life, I suppose?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit different. I think where we used to lots of structure back home, doing certain plays and certain things, I think the French is a bit more open. Training is not that structured. I must say with the Frank Azima, the new coach now, we're a bit more structured. But no, it's a good lifestyle off the field, and then obviously I must say the games are also quite tough. It's nice and physical. But no, I've enjoyed my time here.
Yeah, well, I mean, watching some of your games, you had 6 on your back as well. Have you played 8 as well or not?
No, just 6, just the one game.
Okay, just one. Okay.
I think because when I got here, I was one of the lightest locks. I think we had two or three locks over 140 kgs. So I found myself one of the smallest locks in the team. So they put me on 6 for one game. But yeah, luckily that.
How did you find playing 6? I mean, you look good. I mean, I saw it. I just presume you played there quite a lot for too long.
Yeah, I surprisingly actually got a steal in the breakdown.
Yeah.
But no, I prefer the lock. I'm used to it, and yeah, like staying there.
Yeah. And what about Toulon as a kind of club where they're at now? And I say that because historically, with the players that they've had and the success that they've had, and I was looking back through some of the names and we could reel off the names. Let's reel off a few. Wilkinson, Johnny Wilkinson being the head of that, Matt Giteau, Drew Mitchell, Brian Habana. I'm going to miss players out. Mar Nonu. I mean, there's so many that we could reel off. What's happened to the club now in terms of the success? Have they spoken about that? Can you understand what they're trying to say in terms of the change that they've had and trying to get back to the heights of winning European trophies back to back and winning top 14 championships? What are they saying?
Yeah, I think obviously we were at stage decision we were second from last. We spoke about that. We said it's not those glory days anymore where you can just pick a bunch of individuals and they make a good team. But I must say the guys has been good so far. I think we have a good couple of French guys. I think more of a French feel in the team. Not as many foreigners. I mean, back in those days, like you said, Abana, Bakkies, Nonu, all those guys, Giteau.
We've missed out a load as well. I've missed out a load. Like Juan Smith was here, carving up.
Wilkinson, after you mentioned him. But yeah, it was nice to play at least with one of Nonu came back for a stint. And I mean, awesome guy, probably one of my best friends now. He's even a better guy off the field than he is on it. But no, it's been really good.
I've got to bring it up. We missed a couple of names on the list of Toulon, Victor Matfield being one. Bakkies Botha. What's happened? Are you mates again? I know it's kind of a little bit of old news, but I was surprised to see the comments. I actually looked into it. They weren't as bad as it kind of made out on the headlines in terms of calling you out for your time at Toulon. Just give us a little bit of kind of insight into that and this kind of brotherhood code you talk about, and whether genuinely you were pissed off about it. I know you put out a tweet and aired that.
I think I was also surprised the morning when I woke up and everyone in South Africa started sending it to me.
What were you like? So that gets sent through. Like does that stuff bother you? Do you know what I mean? If something comes through, or is it because it's him?
Well, I mean, normally you have lots of fans who, I mean, not everyone's always going to be happy with you. There's always going to be some people who don't like you, or don't like the way you play. But I think it means a bit more when someone you know or someone you played with for the Springboks says something. I think we as players get quite a lot of grief from fans, and now, if you can say it, one of your own also giving you some shit. But yeah, I was just a bit angry, surprised, and yeah, a bit disappointed in the comments. So I just thought I'll just put something out there, and yeah, we spoke after that, and yeah, all is sorted, and no hard feelings after that.
Are you allowed to say what you spoke about? Was he all right? So did you ring him?
Yeah. So he messaged me, and then he rang me, and I just spoke, and he just said it was taken out of context a bit, because I also read the article, and yeah, we solved it, and he said when we see each other in South Africa, we'll have a beer again together. So yeah, it's all good.
Because there'd clearly be a lot of respect between you two, and we spoke about when we did the podcast that number 4 jersey of the Springboks. I mean, not just yourself and Bakkies before that, like absolute warriors and the best players in the world have worn that shirt. I think that when I read the article from Bakkies, I was surprised because it didn't seem like his kind of character. So you mentioned the brotherhood aspect to that. That was one thing. I don't know whether you can share that. I thought it was quite interesting because that's not something we had for Scotland. You know, there wasn't a code. If there was a code, then I'd be buggered because I've called out a lot of my teammates more as a joke. But what is that brotherhood thing that you spoke about?
Yeah, it's just a code of honour. I think the day you make your debut for Springboks, you obviously get your blazer, and it's a nice celebration of you making your debut, and you also get this piece of paper, which the coach will read to you, and you will read off them. So it's just about respecting the jersey and the guys in the jersey, and yeah, so quite a nice thing to have. So yeah, I just feel like, I mean, when I one day retire, I probably won't go around saying stuff about fellow Springboks, and yeah, that's why I was just a bit taken off guard by the comments.
Yeah, and not just the comments there. What I was surprised, because again, having not watched a huge amount of the top 14, but hearing things that you're doing really well here, but you're naturally always going to carry on playing for the Springboks. It seems a little bit like Toulon have been a bit pissed off by that kind of scenario. Like, how's that been? Because you are such a big name, high profile. How have the club been towards you? The fact that you picked up a couple of injuries, which happens, and that you decided to carry on playing for the Springboks, which they knew?
Yeah, I think it was also a frustrating time for me because obviously they knew from the start I was going to be selected for the Springboks, and then saying something like that obviously wasn't nice. And then obviously, I mean, it's a contact sport, you do get injured.
Especially the way you play.
Yeah, and I got back, and yeah, unfortunately with concussion, 3 months out. I knew it wasn't ideal for me. And then obviously the comments, and then you have a ex-teammate also jumping on the bandwagon. So yeah, I think it was just a bit of frustration. I think that's why I reacted in a well, probably not too bad reply.
I think it could have been well. I thought you were right. That's the thing. When I look at Bakkies now, no disrespect to Bakkies. I mean, he was one of the hardest to have ever done it. But I'd say you're more in your prime than Bakkies is now. So if it came to blows, I'd be backing you. I'd be in your corner. Not that well. I'm glad you've sorted it out, because he is a legend as well. So at what point did you decide to go back to South Africa? Let's get into a bit of that. I loved Marco Massotti's tweet. Again, it's all on social media, isn't it? That it was actually his mum that wanted you to go to Sharks, and he made it happen.
I also saw that, and I actually messaged him. I said, I would love to meet your mum when I'm over that side. I think, yes, when I got here, obviously excited, and then, I mean, COVID happened, and I mean, no one saw that coming. That was obviously before I saw my contract, and anyone who knows me will tell you I'm very close to my family, my parents, my brother. Yeah, and obviously my dad is at the moment suffering with cancer, so it's that was also one of the reasons why, obviously reading the comments and them not being happy with me. Yeah, I just thought, I mean, why be at a place where they...
LA Northampton Saints!
Northampton. A long way from Northampton.
Where they give you some trouble, rather head back home and be with family. Yeah, I think that was one of the big reasons. Also, I met a awesome girl, got engaged to her, and also some of her stuff is back in South Africa. So yeah, I think it's lots of personal reasons, family reasons to go back, and obviously also I think Springbok reasons, being better managed. Their schedule is aligned with the Springbok schedule, so yeah, there's a couple of reasons, but yeah, that's just to name a few.
Yeah, no, you've answered a lot of the questions there about going back to South Africa. Why the Sharks? I know that Marco, let's speak frankly, he's got a decent checkbook. He signed Siya. I'm sure that he wants Cheslin back at some point as well, and I love it. I love people and men that want to invest back into the game, and he's a guy that seems to have done that. So why the Sharks? Are you from Cape Town originally? Is that a thing or not? Is there a kind of historic rivalry, or does it not really matter just getting back to South Africa?
Yeah, I think for me, first of all, was to get back to South Africa, being closer to family, and then obviously me and Siya, we just spoke one day and we said, wow, he just said, why don't I come back to the Sharks? I'm like, well, start talking, and well, we started, and I must say I'm happy. I think the Sharks also, the way that I spoke to a couple of players there, like Thomas du Toit also, the way they do things off field. Obviously I'm over my 30s now, so I must start looking at life after rugby, and the way they're helping players with businesses and stuff. I think that also played a major part in my decision going there. They're helping players off field and life after rugby, and I mean with the guys they've signed, you can see they want to win trophies. Obviously they're in the URC now. They're doing well in the URC, and they can obviously qualify for Champions Cup. And I think they're building quite a good team. So it's going to be good to be a part of that. And yeah, hopefully we can win some trophies. And Siya will take lots of credit, but yeah, it will be nice to be back with him also again.
Yeah, mate. Let's talk about Siya. Obviously, he's a headline name and everything that's happened. And we've joked about it a few times, the game that we played in 2013. I remember it probably more so than you, but Siya made his debut in 2013. Me and you have a little bit of a coming together. That's where you turned into the enforcer that you are, and I basically went back into my shell and retired not long after that. But that was the making of Siya Kolisi, or the start of Siya Kolisi. Did you see what we've seen now over the last few years? Did you see that happening? Did you know from that day it was going to happen, or has it kind of been a progression to, I mean, ultimate greatness for the great man, which is Siya Kolisi?
Yeah, I think obviously I met him when I was matric. I remember we played this game against EP Kings, first game Crown Week, and I just heard about this guy who, I think he played SA Schools the year before also, and everyone just said about this big number 8 playing for the EP Kings, and we went there and I saw him, and he was quite massive that time in matric, and yeah, just to sum it up, we beat him, I think, with 49 points, and he was man of the match. So it just shows you he was quite good. And then yeah, we were together the next year in the Institute, Western Province, and yeah, we became really close. And I think that day, I can remember that day, Eben Etzebeth got injured. I think it was first 10 minutes maybe.
Yeah, it was his knee, wasn't it? He
Yeah.
He rotated, yeah.
And then Siya came on, I just grabbed him aside and I just told him, because he also made his debut for the Stormers. When Scott Berger got injured, he also came on, and I told him, just remember that day you came on, you had a big game, and now it's just different jersey, probably a bit bigger occasion, but just be yourself, and shit, if you don't know anything, just ask me and it's going to be good. And he eventually got man of the match that game. Must say that day I probably wouldn't have thought he'll become Springbok captain and all that stuff. No, not that time. I always knew he's a great player, awesome ball carrier. I think what he changed in his game is his work rate. I think what people don't see is his work rate ability. Also now, I mean, that just shows you how much he cares for the jersey. No, he's been exceptional. He's been an exceptional story. I think from where he came from and now being the captain, it's an amazing story. And yeah, I think obviously he knows the struggles, so he knows what maybe a poor kid in the townships is going through. That's why he's putting so much back in the community. But like you said, I mean, a guy like Mampimpi, each guy has his different story. I think Rassie, before the one game, Rassie put on the board where I think he put the starting 23 on the board, and he said where all the guys come from. And all the guys in the team almost came from struggling backgrounds, and just shows you it's not where you start, it's where you finish. So I mean, Siya is finishing very well. Well, hopefully he's got another few years, but yeah, he's it's an amazing story, and I'm glad he can tell it to the world.
Yeah, and with his captaining, and again, this is just hearsay, I'd love to get your insight on it. Naturally, he's going to lean on players like yourself, Dwayne Vermeulen as well. He talks about that kind of leadership group. How much does he lean on you guys in terms of the big moments, World Cup finals, British and Irish Lions series, these things? He is the front man, right? But we know that the leadership parts of that, how much does he lean on you guys for that kind of support and input of how to lead the team?
Yeah, I think Rassie almost put out a system where everyone in the starting 15 has like a leadership role in the team. So one guy will be in charge of physicality, one will be breakdown. Siya will obviously be in charge of the ref. So I think that helps quite a lot. But yeah, you've got guys like Andre Pollard and Dwayne that leads the team also very well. Loer de Jaag and the line out. So it's like leaders all around, and then like Siya just puts the picture all together. So I mean, we've got a good bunch of leaders that really helps him, and he always mentions that he's never a guy who says I led the team to the World Cup. He will always say that there's lots of guys around him that helps him, and yeah, that's definitely the case.
So Eben, you mentioned Siya Kolisi being a good friend. I don't know if you've seen the clip this week of the podcast he was doing with RugbyPass, where he talks about training against you, and basically you're that good friends, you thought, I'm making a beeline for him and showing how business is done.
I wouldn't say I went at him, it was just in my way. No, I'm also not a guy who loves contact during the week.
You don't?
No, not at all. And I think it was that week, Robbie Fleck, he was the coach then, and he said, and we asked him, I think me and Siya were part of the leaders, we said like, why do we do, because I think every Tuesday, it was Tuesday or Wednesday, we did like a 10-minute block of contact, full body pads, everything, and just ask him why it's necessary. He's like, yeah, we need to be ready for the game. And I was just pissed off that day, because I don't want to do contact. For me, live mauling and live scrums is good. You need that to perform in a game, but I mean, live breakdown and live tackling in the week, I think guys there's so many concussions and stuff going around, just extra, just more risks for that. And that day I was just like, well, I'm angry, and Siya was in front of me, and I just wait for him. I can't remember running over him twice, he says, but sometimes he can over-exaggerate a bit. But yeah, I think it was just, like I said, just a bit pissed off, don't like contact during the week. You get those guys who like running hard in the week, then on Saturdays not that great, so we always make fun of those guys. But yeah, definitely not the best contact trainer in the week.
You mentioned the contact. One of the things not just all rugby players are obviously synonymous with, but you like contact, right? However that looks. Tackle, carry, mauls, every facet of the game. You're one of the best in the contact area. Like, part of that as well is the physical bravado, which I've been part of as well, and obviously that's part of the game. How tough is that each week to get up for? You know, when you've got a game on game and playing that way that you play, is it tough to come out every single week and play like that?
Yeah, I think it is quite tough, because obviously certain guys play a certain way, and there's obviously certain expectations. So it is tough. I think if you play for the right team and you're motivated by the team, I think that helps a bit. Obviously, I mean, when you play for South Africa, you don't need much more motivation. I mean, it just comes naturally. And then obviously when you're at your club also, I mean, you feel for those guys around you, so you must just get up every week. But I won't say it's easy. It's a tough thing. I mean, you also know you played quite a lot of games. It is tough getting yourself up physically every weekend, but I mean, it's what we do. It's our job, and we still enjoy it. So
yeah.
Good.
And part of the job, or part of my role, was getting under the skin. We had our interaction in 2013. That was part of my facade, if you like. It was an add-on to being a rugby player. You know, I was nowhere near as good as yourself or a lot of other rugby players, but part of what I would do was get under the skin, this self-proclaimed enforcer. Now, when you talk about some of the hardest players who have played the game to play the game, you're in that kind of top 5. We could go over the number of people that you've had grabs, come together, scrapping. How do you find that? Is that a natural thing, or is that part of your persona that you need to kind of put out there, and you know that that's what you're known for? Do you know what I mean? Is it a natural thing, or is it kind of like you know that you've got to get under the skin of like a surveyor when you play against the All Blacks, a Maro Itoje when you play against England?
Yeah. I think obviously, I mentioned earlier about the number 4 jersey. When you play for South Africa, it's about the enforcer role. Obviously, yes, you want to do that. I think the game has developed so much. There's so much more to the game, more areas. I mean, when we play, you've got a guy like, let's say, Frans Malherbe who does that role. Also, Dwayne Vermeulen. I mean, Siya, he's not the biggest of guys, but I mean, the work rate and the amount of physical work he puts in is I mean, the 5 lock. I mean, you play a guy like Franco Moschot or Lode Jager, they're also enforcing. So, yeah, it's just. I think for me, it's just enjoying the physicality every game. And like you said, there's some physical players out there, but I just want to do my job, part of the team, and then I enjoy it.
Will you make a beeline for the most physical one? Like in that game in 2013, like I kind of knew that you were the up-and-coming man. Well, you probably were the man at the time, let's be honest. But when you look at a profile of a team, like you look at England, the Lions, we spoke about Maro before, like is that part of your psyche? Like you look who
I think
the fellow hard man is in that team?
You do, and you almost want to outdo him a bit in the game. I actually remember that game, like you said, against you guys. I think it was just before you pushed me. I think you were on the ground with the physio, and I think I came past you and I told you, come get up, or don't be soft or something. And that obviously made you angry, and then when I turned around the line, you were pushing me in my face. But I mean, like you said, there's always one guy in the team. Some teams have more, but there's always one guy in the team that is the hard man, or he thinks he's the hard man, and then you want to get under his skin, or you want to. That's just human nature, especially when you play for South Africa. Yeah,
that was a harsh yellow card against me, though, wasn't it? That was a harsh yellow.
I would have given you a red now.
Yeah, of course. Talk about the physicality in the game. One of the best at it, involved in everything, but you've also had a bit of downtime as well with concussion. It's a thing that's on the lips of everyone in world rugby, especially the UK and Ireland. It's a big player around it. What are your viewpoints on it? Where do you stand with that, especially the way that you play, but also you're standing in the game? You know, a big man, people would love to hear how you feel about everything that's happening.
Yeah, I think it's good, the protocols they put in place. I think a couple of years ago, a guy will get knocked out, try to stand up, fall back again, and then he'll say he's fine and he'll continue playing. So obviously there's guys there's a stadium doctor who's looking at that kind of stuff. They'll take you off immediately and you go in for call it a ding-dong test. And then obviously if you get one, your first one, you're out for however long your symptoms are. Your second one is 3 weeks, and then your third one within a year is 3 months. And that's what happened to me. But yeah, it's good. I think that's probably, I mean, you only have one brain. And then after rugby, if you don't look after it, that's, I mean, saw that concussion movie also of Will Smith. It was quite a big topic back in those days in America also. But it's good that we're looking into it in rugby. People are focusing on it. Yeah, you don't want to end up and don't really have much of a brain left.
Like what they're like, France gets a bit of stick, doesn't it? Like in terms of some of the stuff that's happened. I'm not going to go into them now, but the way that the French medics deal with it. You know, Jamie Cudmill's been going through a thing with Clement. It was different back then. And I say that because you got a bit of stick in the media. We've gone through it from Toulon about being injured. You know, an injury which we've just spoken about now with concussion. Is it different here, do you think? Or have they got it right?
Luckily, World Rugby is in control of that. So I got mine while playing for South Africa. And World Rugby knew about it. So they said, listen, 3 months, no one can do anything about it. That's mandatory. So I haven't, my previous ones with the French, I must say they were quite all right here. Obviously they would want you to play, but luckily I think the doctor, if he puts you on the field before your period is over and something happens to you, something bad can happen to him. But I also do think like teams must look at, I mean, I touched on it earlier, also contact during the week. I mean, it's like I said, we get exposed so much in the game, and people just doing full contact in the week sessions also. I mean, that's just another risk of concussion. So it's good that they're looking into it, like I said. And yeah, hopefully we can get the numbers down with the new laws. Obviously lots of red cards, yellow cards going around. But I think guys will just work on the technique, and yeah, hopefully we can get the numbers down.
And how is that as a player? Because we're seeing still, especially, I don't know what it's like in France, but the Premiership in Europe, we've seen a load. In Super Rugby as well, we've seen a load. How is it as players like adjusting to them? So when you're going to try and monster someone and put them in two and put a physical tackle on them, like how tough is it sometimes if you go slightly high? Are you frustrated at yourself? Is it a frustration with the laws? Like what is it? 'Cause I mean, it seems quite hard that players are struggling to still get it right.
Yeah, obviously the high tackle is going to be difficult for a guy like me and you. And then also the breakdown. I mean, if a guy is over the ball, I mean, the only way you're gonna clean it out is with your shoulder against the back of his head. So, and unfortunately, I don't know. Obviously, the guy's safety or the player's safety is important, but I mean, how do you solve things like that? Like some guys, obviously, the old players, the old enforcer back home says the game is going soft. But I mean, I also do believe in protecting the guys, and especially shoulder, neck, head area.
So what is your mindset now? Do you know what I mean? Like whereas before, like when I play, I could fly in, I could be reckless. You know, there's a clip on the internet which I'm not proud about me clearing out Francois Lowe, and he ends up getting stretchered off, and that is actually quite a legitimate clean. But I come from distance, right, and I've got no care for myself nor the player that I've hit, and you know I'm slightly sad to see that. You know, that's how I used to play. What's it like now? Like when you're running into a breakdown, or you want to make a big collision on a player, like is it in your mind or not?
No, I think still probably flying, but obviously doing it within the rules. I mean, if you hurt someone within the rules and there was nothing wrong and it was just physicality, I mean, that's a rapid collision, and that's going to happen for many more years. Also, I mean, no one can prevent that. We want that. It is a contact sport, and I mean, unfortunately, never want to see someone get injured. But I mean, with the guys just getting more physical, more strong, more fit, it's bound to happen. So as long as we're in the rules, I mean, definitely we must keep it physical, and sometimes we're just going to have to fly into stuff to make it nice for the people at home to watch also.
Absolutely. Let's talk about South Africa and the journey that they're on. And the big talking point at the minute is around not only the teams joining the URC, but I'll get straight to it. Six Nations. Would you be keen to play in the Six Nations for South Africa? Because in my opinion, mate, it seems inevitable. With the URC competition now, with the Sharks, the Stormers, the Lions, the Bulls playing in the URC, going to be part of Europe. There was talk that South Africa were going to join the Six Nations. Would you like that? I'm a traditionalist. I loved watching you play in the Championship against the All Blacks, Australia. No, Argentina came into that. But yeah, this modern game, would you like that?
Well, hopefully World Rugby is listening now.
Oh, they will be.
No, Six Nations, I think it will be good. I mean, obviously it just makes sense with us playing in the URC at the moment, playing against the same competition, but you still want to play New Zealand, you still want to play Australia, and then obviously Argentina. I mean, it's also a good test match. So, I mean, we normally at the June series, maybe against Scotland or Wales, maybe a full June series against New Zealand, and then play the Six Nations, and then where we at end of the year tour, maybe do that against
more
Australia.
Games. That's more games.
Or Argentina. But no, I think I would love to join Six Nations. But
really? You would?
I would also still love to play New Zealand every year, play Australia every year. So if they can get a good balance, I mean, that's. But yeah, at the end of the day, for me just playing for South Africa, I'm going to be one of those guys.
Yeah.
Against anyone.
Will it happen? Do you think it'll happen? Do you think that, like, from the conversations in South Africa, do you think the appetite is to...
Yeah, I think us moving away from Super Rugby, joining URC, I just think, like you said, it makes sense. It makes sense for viewers back home, the time difference, time zones, so we'll see. You know.
And the viewers at home in South Africa, we've seen, because of COVID, and I've commentated on a lot of the URC games, the fan interaction isn't there. What is the lay of the land with appetite for rugby in South Africa, having missed the Lions series, which would have been phenomenal, as we know how big that is every 12 years. But do you know what the appetite's like from a fan's point of view in South Africa, where it's going?
Well, I think they're desperate for some Springbok rugby. I mean, they haven't seen us play since we lifted the World Cup. So I think the tickets for the Welsh Test is already sold out. Hopefully, I don't know if they've opened the full capacity yet, but if they do, hopefully we can get full stadiums. But yeah, it's been tough the last couple of years, not being able, obviously no rugby in 2020, and then 2021 playing in empty stadiums. I just wish we can have more, because I watched the UFC and I know there's still COVID regulations in place, but I mean, even before that we couldn't really fill our stadiums when the South African teams play. We played last week against Toulouse in Marseille and there was 62,000 people.
Yeah. Me? No, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, me? Oh, Eben. No, they're clapping you. That's right. They're definitely. We saw a Scotsman though, didn't we? Sorry to interrupt. It's actually the fans, Scottish fans there.
Yeah, it's them. So I mean, if we can just get that appetite for rugby, especially, I mean, when you play a Sharks Stormers game, I don't know. Like maybe there must be more interaction at the stadium, like you said, some live music before, after the game or something, just to get more people in there.
Just tell me a little bit about your background. I know we're flip-flopping a little bit here, but I'd be really keen to talk to you about, we spoke about Siya's, my Pimpis is out there as well, and their backstories are quite phenomenal. You kind of touched on it when you mentioned Rassie going through the background of different players when he put the team up on the board. What's your backstory? Can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, mine.
Brothers, haven't you? As big as you? Is that right?
I've got one older brother. He's not as big as me, but he's quite big. And then obviously, I think the legend was with my father and his brothers. They were 9 children, and he was one of 7 brothers. I think they were busy in the day back in the streets in Cape Town. But yeah, went to a small, I won't say small, but not a well-known high school like the Paul Gym or the Boys Are or the Grey. Went to Tygerberg High School, and I think I was the first Springbok from there. And yeah, I started off playing high school under 14, under 16 in the back line, centre wing fullback in the B team, and then yeah, I just said my first under 19 year, I told my friend Flip, if I play in the back line, B team under 16, where I'm going to end up under 19, probably in the C or D team. And then all of a sudden I just grew and got bigger, and they said, listen, let's try you at lock. My first year under 19, and I came into the first team, and probably the old story is they never looked back from there. So
now, someone I love and would love to have been coached by, we've had a bit of interaction, is Rassie. Mate, he looks and sounds like an absolute legend. He might not be, but I'm sure he must be. I mean, look at his rugby CV. What are you making of the interaction, this social media stuff that's coming out there, him being the kind of top boss and these videos? I mean, that Bulldog video that he was putting out where one was English, one was South African or something, it was just, I thought it was just brilliant. What's he like?
He's a special human. I think you don't see, I think it was I can't remember what game, don't know if it was a semi-final or final, but the head coach, before the team warm-up, before the team comes out for warm-up, kicks drop goals to the post. So yeah, he's just something else, and I think he's just relaxed and he's just himself. And I mean, I love that. I love people being themselves and not, because it feels like rugby is this whole, everything is always the same and everyone always has the same answers. And if you look at post-match interviews, everyone always has the same type of. But Rassie's just someone new.
Is he like that then? He's like how we see him, he's like that as a coach?
He is like that. And I mean, and then if you take that away, just his rugby brain, how he thinks about the game, how clever he is, I mean, that's on another level. He's just a mastermind. Obviously, you've got Jacques Nienaber and Felix Jones and, I mean, Dion Davids and Don Heeman and all the, can't mention everyone now, but all those guys around him, and I mean, they just work hours and hours, and Rassie's just there, and he's just, I don't know if you watched Prison Break, Michael Schofield.
Yeah.
He reminds me a bit of Michael. He always has a plan, always has a good plan up his sleeve, but yeah, he's just good at what he does. And the way he gets people up for games, it's incredible. And now he just gets the best out of people. And like I said earlier, like rugby needs characters. Like someone, a head coach putting Twitter videos of his bulldog on Twitter, or I mean guys like Joe Marler, just using a guy like him, for example, just doing something different, or like a guy like Ellis Genge who came the post-match interview with a beer. Like that's just nice. Like we need more of that in rugby. I think everyone just always wants to tick the boxes and just be the same and just be perfect, but we need characters, and Rassie is definitely a character.
Yeah, it's great to hear you talk like that. I think you're 100% right. This is definitely what we need. With Rassie, it seems like there's a real love for you guys. It seems like he genuinely loves you guys, not just as a coach, but it seems more than that. And watching Chasing the Sun, that documentary, and you see some of the emotion, and again, I know it's a snapshot of it. Do you feel that? Do you feel that love from him?
Yeah, I feel that love, but also he's also hard on the guys, which you love them, then you'll be hard on them. So yeah, definitely. I think the whole environment with him and everyone there, it's just a good environment, and they just they want excellence the whole time, and they just want you to be at your best. And yeah, it's like I said, just good to work with him, just that environment.
And then for you, like I'm looking at your game now, not that I'm a judge or can judge anyone with how they're playing, but I think it's the best you're playing at the minute, especially for the Springboks. Has there been a shift? Has there been a conscious kind of change of how you wanted to change the game? Have you looked at anyone that you've played against and thought, that's how I want to perform or want to do differently in my game? Like, I just think everything. I think your influences on the game have just gone through the roof. Have you felt that?
Yeah, I think you probably just realise your time is probably getting nearer to the end, so you want to put in a big couple of shifts. But I think it's also just enjoying my game. Enjoy it so much when I play for South Africa. I'm not enjoying it with Toulon, but I know it's special when you play there, and I mean just the environment, and they make things so simple. You know exactly what you must do, and you can just focus on that. And all the other 14 guys on the field with you, they know their job, and everyone is just so in sync on the field. So yeah, I just enjoy it and just want to give 100% every time I go out there.
Yeah, and then what do you want to be remembered for? I know it's a throwaway question, but I'm really interested to know. Mate, you've won a World Cup, you've won a Lion Series, you're one of the best players in the world. What is it? Like, what motivates you? Like, is there a legacy? Is there something for you at the end of all this?
Yeah, I think I don't have children yet, but I think I would have loved for them to see me play. But one, like I hopefully show them the videos and they can be proud of me. I don't want to go too deep now for what I want to be remembered for, but I think Adrian Strauss, he was the Bok captain in 2016. He just said he just wants the respect of the guys playing with him, and I think that's for me, that stuck with me. If you go out in the field for 80 minutes, yes, you care probably about the fans and stuff, but for me the most important is those 23 guys on the field with you. And as long as you come off the field and they respect you, I think that's for me most important. And obviously, yeah, like I said, I won't go too much into detail what I want to be remembered for, but
you can.
Yeah, it was nice winning a World Cup and a British Irish Lions, and yeah, obviously having a few tests for the Boks isn't bad.
Players that you enjoy, you've mentioned Genji and Marler. Do you like these kind of characters?
Yeah, I like different characters. Obviously, they put themselves out there, so guys tend not to like guys like that. And when you play against guys like that, you want to shut them up. I mean, if they're good players, they're difficult to shut up. But yeah, there's lots of guys going up. I mean, obviously always good going up against a guy like Brody Retallick or Maury Toje. I mean, James Ryan, Alan Wynne Jones, yourself back in 2013.
Thank you for putting me in with them names.
But no, it's always good going up against world-class locks. And then for me also what's always nice is when I'm back in South Africa now, it's just for me just extra fun when you go up against friends. So me and back when I was at the Stormers, Marcel Coetzee was at the Sharks, and somehow we always tried to look for each other, to run into each other. The same when I played against Beast. He actually gave me some shit after the game and told me, why do you keep running at me? But yeah, it's nice playing against friends. And then, like I said, obviously there's those guys you probably don't like that much. With the extra spice, going up against them is always nice.
And who is the one? Who's the best player out of all of them? Who's the one where you're like, yeah, like, I need to be on it today. He is the one that I think is the best. You mentioned a few names there. I'm obviously not going to put myself anywhere near into that mix with them names that you've mentioned.
I think the type of personality I have, I won't be able to say that.
You can't give me one?
No, I can't give you one. I must say back in the day, I think when I went up against Maanonu, he hit me once. I was carrying, he just hit me from the side. And I thought it was one of their props hitting me. And I looked at him, he was quite a hard man. Probably the guy who tackled me the hardest. But yeah, it's just I would never want to play against the Springboks. If you look at that, guys like Siya and Peter, Stefan, Dwayne and Louis, and I mean Bongi, you mentioned Franceman out of the guts of all those guys. So,
what team then? What colour jersey is it? Is the one? Is it the All Blacks? Is that the one?
It's probably nice always. I think, yeah, All Blacks is great playing against them. I think play England obviously after the World Cup final. There's always now going to be, well, at least while I still play, always going to be that extra, like I said, spice to the game. Yeah, I would say those two. And then obviously, can't forget about the French. I think they're doing pretty well. They're having an unbelievable year so far. We're playing them in November, so I think that's a matchup we're very excited for.
Yeah, so when you look forward to the World Cup, France are the team, it seems, obviously won the Six Nations, but there's so many good teams in that. Who have you got your eye on? Like, what are the teams? I know there's a number that you can reel off.
There's a couple. We've seen also a year before the World Cup, you can't really judge on that. But I mean, France will be good, New Zealand, Australia, Wales will be in there, Ireland, England, I mean, don't write off Scotland. So yeah, there's about 8 or 9 teams that can be competitive at the World Cup. So yeah, we probably won't pick one. In our pool, we obviously have Ireland and Scotland. We need to be those two to make it further. So yeah, we'll just be looking at those two for now.
Okay, and then lastly, how much time did you spend with him? Conor McGregor, you spent a bit of time with him.
I was over in Corsica. I was there with some of the people from Monaco, and we were there the whole weekend. And the Saturday, we were sitting around the fire, and the one guy, Gareth, told me, Conor McGregor is coming tomorrow for lunch. And I was supposed to fly out the morning, and I asked him if he can just sort my flight so I can just fly a bit later. I came over for lunch, and it was good. He was just so chill and good family man. Well, he looked like a good family man, always like looking where his child is and his wife. But that was good to meet him. Must say he's not as arrogant as he looks on the TV.
Oh, it's all a bit of persona, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, but no, it was nice to meet him. Probably one, if I had to pick 5 people in the world I can meet, he was probably one of the 5. So.
Oh, really? Yeah. Was he into his rugby? I know he's he's Irish, and so I presume he is.
He watched some of the World Cup also, obviously a big Irish supporter. Yeah. But they didn't do too well at that World Cup.
Yeah, that was a good photo. I did enjoy that. It's been a pleasure coming to Toulon. Not your home.
Yeah.
Home for now. So it's been a pleasure. Thanks very much.
No, cool.